Looking at the empty hallways and the distant sound of wind hitting the windows, you begin to imagine that not everything that happens inside the school stays only in books or classrooms. Some stories remain hidden in dark corners, locked cabinets, or silent hallways, waiting for someone curious enough to discover them. Today, we'll explore 4 of these stories. 2 of them you may have heard whispered in the hallways, legends that students tell in hushed tones, afraid of being ridiculed. The other 2, however, are different. Almost no one dared to speak of them, and those who got too close swore the air felt heavy and invisible eyes watched them. Prepare your senses, pay attention to the sounds that emerge around you, and remember, some presences linger even when no one is looking. Enter this school with me, if you dare, for the stories you will hear are not just legends. They are the echoes of events that were trapped within its walls, and maybe, just maybe, are still happening right now. Story 1: The Blonde in the Bathroom. It was 1970. Anna was a blonde, studious, and shy girl who always excelled in tests and schoolwork. Despite her good performance, Anna was constantly bullied by her older, more popular classmates. They made fun of her hair, clothes, and reserved demeanor. She avoided the bathroom during recess because some students played cruel pranks there. One day, during recess, Anna had to use the bathroom because she couldn't hold herself in and was locked in by a group of students who wanted to have fun at her expense. Anna screamed and banged on the doors, but no one helped her. In her attempt to escape, an accident occurred. Some say she fell and hit her head, others that she was accidentally pushed, others that she even committed suicide. Anna was found dead, and next to her body was an old, but intact, mirror. After her death, reports began to surface of a blonde girl reflected in the bathroom mirror. Students who approached the mirror heard whispers or laughter, and sometimes saw hand movements or loose hair. Thus, Anna became known as the Bathroom Blonde, a spirit who haunts those who enter alone. It was 1990. A girl named Rosa attended a traditional 2-story school, famous for its long hallways and the old girls' bathroom on the 2nd floor. The school always had stories circulating among the students, but Rosa was a skeptic and never believed in anything supernatural. Rosa feels a presence, as if she's being watched, but the bathroom seems empty. She begins to see a silhouette in the mirror, but when she turns around, no one is there. Rosa first hears about the Bathroom Blonde, a student who, years before, was locked in the bathroom and committed suicide. It was said that if you knocked on the bathroom mirror 3 times and called her name, she would appear. Classmates tell stories of strange reflections, distant laughter, and blonde hair floating behind the glass. Curious and defiant, Rosa decides to test the legend one afternoon after gym class, when the students were on the gym floor and the bathroom was empty. Rosa enters the bathroom, dim light, the smell of old soap, broken tiles. She approaches the mirror and, in a low voice, calls the blonde's name 3 times. Nothing happens at first. Gradually, the reflection distorts, blonde hair appears behind her, shadows move in the corners. The Bathroom Blonde appears completely in the mirror, staring at Rosa with empty eyes or a cold expression. The reflection moves independently, raising a hand, pointing, or smiling strangely. Mariana tries to escape, but the door locks itself and the echoes of footsteps appear around her. Rosa finally manages to open the door and runs out, without looking back, leaving her belongings at school. The next day, Rosa doesn't show up at school, which her friends find strange, as she was a regular student. Rosa's parents were also looking for her. Everyone was looking for Rosa until they realized her belongings were at school. So some classmates decided to go to the second-floor bathroom, the place Rosa had gone last, just out of curiosity. Upon entering, they found the space empty, but the mirror looked different. There was a water stain that resembled blonde hair, as if someone had recently run their hand over it. The silence was almost suffocating, and no sound seemed to come from outside, as if the building had been abandoned. Meanwhile, Rosa's parents posted posters around the neighborhood, depicting their daughter with frightened, desperate eyes, trying to gather any information that might explain her disappearance. The police were called, but there were no signs of a break-in or any clues that anyone had taken the girl. Every minute that passed seemed to deepen the mystery surrounding her disappearance. At school, rumors began to circulate among the students. Some claimed to have heard whispers coming from the bathroom, others swore they saw a blonde silhouette reflected in the mirrors, even though no one was inside. Each story increased the collective fear, and many began to avoid the second floor, especially when the power began to fail in the late afternoon. During the night, neighbors reported strange sounds coming from the school, such as footsteps shuffling through the empty hallways and the echo of children's laughter that no one could identify. Rosa's parents couldn't sleep, and the feeling that something supernatural was linked to their daughter's disappearance began to intensify. The next day, when the school administration decided to open the bathroom to investigate, they found something that chilled everyone's spine, a reflection in the mirror that didn't match any of those present. It was the silhouette of a girl, staring at them, motionless. And then they realized something wasn't right, something supernatural. From that day on, no one ever approached that bathroom alone, for fear of being the next to disappear. Story 2: The Compass Game. It's 1995. A group of high school friends are bored on a Friday night. Amid laughter and challenges, one of them mentions the compass game, or the compass game, an old legend that circulated around the school. Some of the students already knew the rules, and others didn't, but no one expected what would happen. The game worked like this. All you had to do was draw a circle on the ground, step into it, and spin with your eyes closed, calling upon the spirit of the compass to reveal the future or scare anyone who broke the rules. Since there would always be someone disrupting the classroom, they decided to go to the abandoned school warehouse, away from teachers and curious onlookers. Each friend should enter the circle, turn slowly, and recite the invocation. Compass game, come to me. Show what no one else sees. Before doing so, one of the participants told them not to forget the important rules. Never break the circle while it's spinning. Don't open your eyes until the end. If you hear whispers or feel invisible hands, don't react with fear. The group laughs and teases each other, asking who will be the first to run. The first to enter the circle is Carlos, the bravest. He closes his eyes and slowly turns, saying the phrase. Strange sounds emerge. Indistinct whispers, the scratching of nails on the floor. Invisible footsteps around the circle. When he finishes, he reports seeing a figure standing behind him, but no one is there. One by one, the friends enter, each has different visions, some disturbing. Someone levitates slightly within the circle. Voices of people who have disappeared at school. reflections of blonde or masked figures in dark corners. Small arguments arise among them, who saw what, increasing the tension and fear. One of the friends, Lucas, breaks the rule. He opens his eyes before the end. The spirit of the compass manifests itself violently. A strong wind blows away papers and dust. The circle seems to distort on the ground. Whispers turn into high-pitched screams. The friends realize that something can no longer be controlled, and the feeling that someone is constantly watching them grows. And they had no idea what was to come. Everyone manages to run out of the warehouse, but each feels something follow them outside. Days later, strange events begin to occur. Objects move on their own. Strange figures appear in reflections. Soft whispers in the night. And at school, the students missed one of their friends who was with them during the game and hadn't shown up since. They asked the teachers and friends from another class, but nothing. They decided to go to the office to find out if everything was okay, and what they discovered: the friend didn't exist. He had died 5 years ago. He was a student at the school who had committed suicide. The students were paralyzed by the discovery. The office showed them an old file with a photo, school records, and a complete history of their missing friend. Every detail matched what they remembered, except for one macabre detail: he had died 5 years ago, a victim of suicide, in the very same abandoned warehouse where they had played the compass game. Shock gripped the group. Every laugh, every conversation, and every joke that night seemed to now echo as if it had been with a spirit, not a real friend. They'd begun noticing subtle signs since the night of the game: footsteps that followed with no one there, shadows in the corners of their vision, and whispers no one could explain. Tension mounted as they returned to the warehouse to investigate, almost instinctively. The circle on the ground was still there, as if it had been fresh and never erased, waiting for the next game. Story 3: The Caretaker's Forbidden House. It was 1997. The school, an old 2-story institution with sports fields and gardens, had a small house in the back, where the caretaker responsible for maintenance lived. He was a man, about 45 years old, dark-skinned, tall, and quite thin, Mr. To-Do. The house had always been off-limits to students because it contained work tools that were off-limits. Among other rumors that arose inside were noises at night, lights left on when no one was present, and a musty smell that no one could explain. A group of curious and daring students decided to investigate. Among them was Pedro, the bravest, and Vera, who loved a challenge. They surrounded the house during their break, staring intently at the place. They discovered that the caretaker had a son who mysteriously disappeared years ago. Some teachers whispered that, at night, figures appeared in the windows of the house, to frighten the curious. Rumors also spoke of the sound of chains clanging, doors slamming, and muffled screams, as if someone were trapped or begging for help. At the back of the house was a padlocked basement. Curious, the students decided to break into the basement to record everything and find out if the stories were true. Upon entering, they noticed the basement is dusty, with covered furniture and a musty smell. There are also some toys, a tricycle, balls, and cars. Lucas turns on a flashlight, illuminating old paintings on the wall, photos of the caretaker with an unidentifiable person, blurred by age, and tools scattered across the floor. Sounds begin to appear. Footsteps echoing, even when no one is there. doors creaking, whispers and cries. They find an old notebook belonging to the caretaker, with notes on strange rituals and records of unexplained events he witnessed at school. Small supernatural phenomena begin. Objects move on their own. Lights flicker irregularly. A mirror shows a figure in the background, which disappears when they look directly at it. Vera decides to explore the caretaker's room upstairs. There, she finds a door locked from the inside, with scratches on the wood. It was the caretaker's son's room. As she tries to open it, she hears a strangled scream coming from the other side, followed by a cold wind that cuts through the room. Suddenly, everyone realizes the caretaker's presence. The group tries to escape, but the front door locks itself, leaving them trapped for a few minutes in agonizing suspense. At that very moment, they hear a child's voice calling for help, and the caretaker disappears as if by magic. The students look at each other. They finally manage to open the door and run out, vowing never to return. Days later, they discover that students and teachers report feeling a strange presence near the house, as if someone were constantly watching them. No one could explain what they had seen or heard, but one thing was certain: the house never seemed the same again. And the voices still echoed in their ears, calling for help. Story 4: The Corridor That Has No End. It was a rainy afternoon in 2007, and the school students were eagerly awaiting the end of classes. Among them was Gabriel, a curious and adventurous boy who enjoyed exploring empty spaces in the school. When the bell rang, Gabriel went to the bathroom to wash his face because he was very sleepy. Gabriel ended up taking a while. Upon leaving the bathroom, he realized the school was empty. He took a shortcut to the exit gate. An old rumor circulated that this shortcut stretched out indefinitely when no one was looking properly, and that those who entered alone often didn't return on time. Classmates told stories about students who lost track of time as they walked down the hallway. Some said the hallway changed shape. Doors that were once lockers appeared as rooms. The walls stretched or moved closer. Echoes of voices and whispers came from impossible places. As he entered the hallway, Gabriel felt a chill run through his body, and a strange smoke began to fill the hallway. He didn't even know where the smoke was coming from. Gabriel decided to wait a bit to see if the smoke would disappear. The smoke cleared a bit, and Gabriel began to walk down the hallway. As he walked, he noticed the doors and windows disappear. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever. Strange sounds began to appear. Footsteps that didn't match his movements. Doors slamming on their own. Whispers calling his name. Gabriel tried to turn back, but each step took him further, and the hallway never returned to its starting point. He saw shadows of former students trapped between the walls, staring, but disappearing as he approached. The suspense grew when he noticed a figure in the background, motionless, that seemed to guide the way, or trap him there. Gabriel tries to scream, but his voice is drowned out by the endless echoes of the hallway. The fluorescent lights begin to flicker irregularly, and he feels something rushing after him, touching his back. The hallway begins to repeat itself, doors, walls, and shadows becoming indistinguishable, and the feeling of being trapped in an endless space overtakes him. Finally, he manages to stumble upon a door that takes him back to the schoolyard, as if nothing had happened. But something has changed. Gabriel feels a constant presence following him, and the echo of the hallway seems to echo in his footsteps. In fact, it doesn't even seem like Gabriel has left him. We've reached the end of another video, but if you've made it this far, it means the night isn't over yet and you're still among us. Remember, the stories we tell don't just remain in words. They continue to live in the hallways, in the whispers, and in the shadows of the school, waiting for the next person curious enough to listen. If you felt that chill or heard a strange sound while watching, don't worry, you're not alone. But we'll never know who's really watching. To not miss any new dark stories, follow the channel, turn on notifications, and get ready to return if you dare face the next dawn call. Until then, the school lives on, and its legends continue to lurk.